Welcome in, everybody. Ty Bartell in with another edition of Coach's Corner, as I am joined by the skipper of the Western Reserve Blue Devils, Mr. John Armeni, joining me today. Coach, how are we doing?
Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Coach. And I want to talk a little bit about the team. I want to talk a little bit about the conference. I guess first and foremost, let's talk about the practices. You talked to me about some scrimmages you guys are going to be having coming up soon, but let's talk to me about some of the practices, some of the things that stood out to you and what you've seen from the team so far.
We have a tough group of experienced guys who really believe in the process. So, we've had a pretty productive summer so far, but we're down kind of in the nitty gritty here. So we got to get better pretty quickly here. We're running out of time before we open up with Crestview. But so far, we like what we see. Our older, experienced guys have provided some good leadership. Our younger guys are getting better every day. Still need some guys to step up. We still need to play with a little bit more physicality, but so far, so good.
So when you talk about this team, let's talk about some names that maybe people in Berlin Center are going to have to get used to. Who are some guys that we can expect to be on the field week one?
Up front, we return Isaac Burnett and Dylan Crute, two of our better linemen. We did graduate some seniors there, so we got some battles going on. Some guys that are working hard at trying to replace some of those seniors up front. In the backfield, we get back Jack Darney, our tailback, who had a great year last year. We get back Nathan Hemberger, who plays a lot of offense and is an all-Ohio linebacker on defense. And we get Don McCarty back as well. So we got a nice little three-headed monster there with ball carriers. We're breaking in a new quarterback. He's one of our more talented, smarter kids, great worker, but he's a little green when it comes to being a signal caller. But so far this summer, he's done a great job. Had a couple of good scrimmages. He's a tough kid. He likes to run and throw. Chris Pater. So on the outside, we're breaking in some new receivers. That's probably where you'll see the most new faces. We have a senior back in Alec Abrams, and we have a young guy that we're pretty excited about in Nate Alexander.
This is a game where you really have to rely on your strengths to get wins too, first and foremost. So when you talk about some of the strengths you're seeing in this Western Reserve squad early on, what would you say and what would you point to as some of the strengths you guys are going to have to lean on to get your wins this year?
So far in the summer, really looks like we'll hang our hat defensively. We get back an all-Ohio inside linebacker. We have two very good safeties in Chris Pater and Jack Darney. So we get back a lot of experience in the secondary. And up front, we get an all-Ohio defensive end back in Isaac Burnett. Some big bodies in there at tackle. We get the other returning starter back at defensive end in Jackson Young. So far in two scrimmages, we haven't really given up too many yards or points. So that group looks to be flying to the football. And we're going to need them big time next Thursday against Crestview.
You mentioned in that Crestview game. We'll get into week one, but before we do that, let's just talk about this conference too, because it's one of those gauntlet schedules. I feel like year in and year out, there's not too many gimmies, right? In the week-to-week conference schedule, MVAC Scarlet side. Talk to me about this conference. Talk to me how you guys see yourselves fitting in the conference this year.
Every interview I've given this preseason, I just say meat grinder. Last year with 12 games that we played, I think we played 8 playoff teams. Week in and week out, everybody's good. I don't know that I've ever played a schedule quite like this the last couple of years here at Reserve. Literally a playoff team every week. And then our out-of-conference schedule is pretty tough as well. So, I mean, our kids here, though, kind of embrace that. They like to be challenged, and they've responded to that. And we were able to have some success last year, and we're trying to build off of that success. But it can be tough. You got to have everything kind of in line. You got to have your guys ready to play. You got to have great game plans because, any week, any of the teams that we play can lay one on you. Including us. I think that a lot of people would say that about us as well. So, with Springfield, they seem to be the measuring stick locally the last few years. They got a great staff. Seems like they just keep reloading. Mineral Ridge has gotten very good. Lowellville the last 2 years has been unbelievable. And Jackson Milton's a playoff team. Western Reserve was a playoff team. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. You know, and you just keep thinking like, at some point it has to give a little bit, but it doesn't. Everybody just keeps reloading and keeps being competitive. So I think that's a testament to the kids and the coaches in the Mahoning County League that we have.
When there's so much competition inside the conference and you guys see each other every year, I mean, everyone kind of knows everyone like the back of their hand, right? How do you find success in a conference like that too? Because you guys have been able to find your success over the years in this conference. Obviously, you take some too any given week, like you said. But when you talk about finding your success, what do you have to rest on trying to go up against an opponent that knows you almost as well as you guys know yourselves?
It is difficult, and there isn't a lot of draw stuff up in the sand with the coaches in our league. Everybody likes to do what they do, and like teams know when they play Western Reserve what we're going to do. We know what Springfield's going to do, but you have to stop it. I really think it just comes down to how physical your kids are. It's been my experience, the last 23 years coaching in the Valley, that the more physical teams that block and tackle better always have the success. So, those are the fundamentals that we try to focus on here. I'm not the most creative person in the world when it comes to drawing up plays or schemes or whatever, but we try to execute better. And I think that's kind of what it really comes down to, and not only in our league, but in our region, and in the area in general.
Well, you previewed it a little bit, but in 1 week's due time, we're going to be talking about week 1 for Western Reserve. Preview how you guys are getting ready for this Crestview team. I think you two really match up well. You guys do a lot of things similar pretty well, too. I think this is going to be a great matchup week 1. How do you guys see yourselves trying to attack the Rebels and get a win?
Well, I think the greatest compliment I can give, Coach Perry and his staff are, that you can see the growth. You can see their younger kids getting older and better and bigger and stronger. You can see those guys really buying into their scheme. And I think our kids do that as well. So I think that it's going to be a knockdown, drag out fight. They like to be physical and run the football, and so do we. There's not going to be too many fancy plays or trick plays or, 5 wide formations that you're going to see week 1. I think you're going to see 2 teams that want to run the football and 2 teams that are built to stop the run. So it's going to be, a slobber knocker. Our kids are excited. You get to open up with the D5 playoff team. That's going to attract eyes to your program. And our kids are excited about that. They want the stage. They want to perform on those big stages.
I know you've gotten a chance to get a taste of these Berlin Center fans, but put into words too what it's like to have this community behind you, backing you every week.
I was an assistant here when I first started coaching a long time ago, and then we were able to get the program kind of going in the right direction. And then Coach Hake kind of took it out of the stratosphere, for a 10-year period or whatever. So they're used to winning. They don't have much patience for mediocre football. They want to see success. They want to see good football. But at the same time, I think they really buy into what we're trying to do. They're very supportive. Their sons really work hard. This is a very close-knit community. And these guys work. You can tell that starts at home. They listen to directions well. They do whatever we ask. And you can tell that the home environment plays a part in that. So it's a wonderful place to be. It's a wonderful place to teach and coach. And I know that we're always going to have, the community is always going to have our back, which is, you don't always have that everywhere, so that always makes coaches feel at home and makes it a good environment to coach in.
I know we've talked throughout the years too, and this isn't our first go around interview wise preseason football or during this season. Your name's pretty synonymous with the sport of high school football. You mentioned 23 seasons, and when you put a tenure like that in, it kind of becomes synonymous. What keeps you coming back to the sport each and every year? What gives you the love, the drive for it?
It's difficult, and as life throws a lot of different things at you, you see guys bounce in and out of the profession, take some time off, and I have little kids and a wife who's a professor at Mountain Union. So we're always maxed. I think the camaraderie with the coaches, I've been lucky to have some of the best coaching staffs in the area, the last 10, 12, 13 years. I've had my defensive coordinator's been with me for a decade. I have former players now coaching for me. I have mentors that taught me a lot in the game that are now on my staff. So that means a lot to me personally, to be able to share their experience with them. And I really believe in the process. I really like taking something, a difficult situation, and making it successful. And I've said this before. I've taken two difficult jobs. LeBray was kind of down on their luck when I took that years ago. Western Reserve was kind of down on their luck when I took that job. But I really think that that's the most rewarding experience you can put yourself in is a difficult situation, and grab a shovel and start digging is what I tell my coaches. You got to get in the ring and start taking some punches and throwing some punches if you want to have success here. And I think that we do that. I think that our track record speaks for itself. And our kids are excited to build. They know that it's not easy. They know that there are no cupcakes on the schedule. But they keep coming back for more. They like the challenges, so that's exciting too, to be part of that and watch their growth and maturation. Into basically manhood.
Coach, I wanna give you the chance to shout out your staff a little bit further too. Like you mentioned, you can't do it yourself too, and you shouted out some guys that were influential to you. So I want to give you a chance to take it a step further and shout out your coaching staff you're going to be bringing on this year.
Well, so I have one of the mentors I was talking about. I have two guys that work with us that have a lot of experience that do a great job for us. Mark Legelic and Dave Zelenak has been helping out recently. Dave was the head coach of LeBray for lots of years. I mean, those guys have a ton of experience and they help. I have former players on staff and Nate Ostis and Connor Johnston, who does a lot of our strength and conditioning stuff. So it's rewarding seeing guys that you coached become coaches and get into the ring. And that's exciting. Logan Sheptalk is a former player of mine who came over this year from Howland. Has done a great job. He's a community member. He went to school here at Western Reserve, so he understands what this place is all about. I have a running backs, linebackers coach who's Joe Alessi, who's got some military background, who provides a lot of much needed discipline for our kids. And my defensive coordinator, who's been with me for 10 years, who's actually sitting next to me over here. I'm surprised you haven't heard him, say anything so far. Colin Dotson, he's been with me for 10 years at LeBray, now at Western Reserve, and there's not anybody in this profession that prepares more than he does. We have our, fights and discussions, but he prepares like nobody's business, and that's always much appreciated because I always know our kids defensively are going to be in a position to have success.
Final thing for you, Coach, and it's just going to be a call out to the community. I know a lot of people are going to be watching this interview. They're going to be getting excited, hyped up for the season. Let them know why this upcoming Thursday, well, next Thursday by the time this gets out, but this upcoming Thursday, why the high school off of West Akron Campfield Road is the place to be.
Well, there's one other coach I want to mention too. I have a line coach who's been working his way through the ranks, Derek Accord. Who's done a nice job. We have our work cut out for us up front. We got some good players back, but some young guys, some big, strong guys there. We think we can be pretty good there, but he has his work cut out for us, and he's been doing a good job preparing those guys too so far this summer. As far as the season goes, I always tell the guys, it's a process. It's a quick 10 weeks, but there's a lot of different opportunities to have success there. I think we're an unfinished product, and we want to use that week one game as a measuring stick. I think Crestview is a Division V playoff team. And I think that if we can play with them and have success against them, that there's not anybody on our schedule we can't beat. So I think that, our guys have been working hard, and they're anxious to make everybody proud of them.
Well, Coach, we're excited for this season. We wish you the best of luck here at YSN, as no doubt we're going to be at some games over there in Berlin Center, and we look forward to seeing the product that's out on the field and how your boys continue to grow this year.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Coach. First edition of Coach's Corner with the skipper at Western Reserve, Mr. John Armeni.